I have my identity. I have many.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on Rock Talk. Today, Josh, do you know what we're going to talk about?
Today we are going to talk about the most overrated bands of all time.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, but it's
according to
it's according to this website that he found. What was it called?
Yeah, so I was on Facebook and it came up as like an ad. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I click on it and it's history101.com and they have ranked the most underrated rock bands of all time. And when I read the list,
Overrated.
Overrated. Sorry,
okay.
Overrated.
They've seen the title.
Yeah, yeah. I'll put the title right
there.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd go through. You guys can get you guys haven't seen the list, so I'm just gonna see if you agree with these overrated rock bands of all time. Are you ready? We're gonna go with number one, and I don't even know how to pronounce that. Indie band with the name of Bon Iver.
I can't say I've known them. I think someone was just mad at their buddy's band in the coffee shop and just decided to put that on their list.
You might be right. Like, how can you be number one?
He could have been trying to promote it in a bad way, but
yeah, but that happens today. That's how you get famous, is for either doing something.
Look at MGK. He's hated, but he's famous for being.
So we should pay them to put Mr. J as number one on the list.
Oh my goodness, that might just change.
And then we just have
lives.
to record some music.
Yep, we could do that.
That's the big thing.
And we'll be big.
We'll be big.
You can't be overrated if you're
so underrated. No one really knows it.
Yeah. So anyway, so I thought that was pretty. I don't know if that's like a troll or if that's like to signify that the list isn't real. I don't know.
Yep,
but
I've never heard of that name until you found this website.
But there's a lot of write-ups in here, so I'm like, somebody put a lot of effort. So let's skip to number two. Number two, overrated band of all time, Journey.
Not for me, man. I would not.
The only thing I would overrate for them
Don't Stop Believing.
Yes, that.
If that wasn't at every karaoke song contest on every weekend that ever happened in the last 40 years, maybe.
I would like that song if it wasn't played every 2 seconds.
That's true. You can't go to a classic rock channel and not hear that.
If it wasn't as big.
Yeah, it would be a great song, but it's too big.
Everything else by them though is great.
Like Wheel in the Sky. It lists
I've said it before many times. There's a couple of albums that I listen to over and over again, and their greatest hits by Journey. I've listened to that so many times, and I love each and every song on there.
There's a lot of
of great stuff.
There's a lot of good songs that you kind of forget about. So I agree. I think they're out to lunch on that.
I think they're well
just
rated.
That song.
Yeah, I think Journey is right where they should.
Yep.
If you're gonna have every sporting event playing Journey, Don't Stop Believing, how do you say they're then overrated when,
I don't know,
when they keep
Queen
doing
and
it?
We Will Rock You at hockey games.
Well, maybe maybe Queen's on here. Let's keep going.
Oh, I wonder.
I wonder if you just foreshadowed.
So far, they're 0 for 2.
Asia is number 3 on the list.
I've heard of that continent before. I believe that's where Tokyo is, and
so
I also
overrated.
Beijing is there.
It says fine. Heat of the moment is fun, but it's basically saying that's it. That the heat of the moment, that's it. And I'm thinking nobody even listens to Asia anymore. So how can they be overrated?
I don't even know Asia.
Yeah,
I can't. Name a song,
in the heat of the moment. No?
That song sounds familiar.
Okay, my voice is a little off today.
Well, it sounded really good, so keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. So anyway, I think that's 0 for 3.
Yeah, it's 0 for 3 now.
0 for 3? Okay, we'll get into some good stuff now. A band you may have heard of called Boston.
Yeah, Boston has some great hits. It's just like Journey. I think they have some great, good, fun hits.
I'd say they're well rated.
I wouldn't call them overrated.
More Than a Feeling is still such an epic song.
That's one of the songs I've heard so many times, but I like it.
Yeah, you hear it.
It's a fun song.
You're in a car, you turn up the radio.
Yeah.
You blast it.
You can't listen to that song and not have a feeling you need to turn it up. Mm-hmm. It's a great song.
It's more than just say no more. 0 for 4. I love how they include pictures and the write-up. Number 5. Top 5 here, people. AC/DC.
I love
They're
AC/DC.
fine. I like their music.
Like, yeah, a lot of their songs sound the same,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's
the worst
part of
thing.
their whole like sound. Like they're
Yeah, when you have an amazing sound, you go with it. You don't try to.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And
Some
AC/DC
bands make
proves
the
it.
mistake. They change it. They change their sound and they go in a different direction. And it's like Everclear is a great. Love Everclear, and then he kind of changed.
Yeah, they took a turn after.
And it's almost like you listen to the critics because the critics are like, "Oh, this album's the same as his last 3 albums." Yeah. And
What's
we
wrong
love
with
it.
those last 3 albums?
Yeah, we love it.
They had
So-
hits on those last 3
exactly.
albums.
So the fact that they keep going with that same.
Yeah, like they just released an album very recently, and it sounds just as good as it would, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I got nothing wrong with AC/DC.
They're a fun group.
Yeah, I feel like their hype
TNT, Back
matches.
in Black.
Yeah.
Oasis.
Oasis is number
Yeah,
6.
Get them out of here. They're
Yeah.
overrated.
Okay, they're 1 for 6 now.
I don't like Oasis. I'm just going to say
But
that.
again, are they overrated?
Yes.
Because nowadays
Yes.
nobody even knows who they like. At least
Everyone knows when
AC/DC, you walk up to a 12, 13, 14-year-old.
To be fair, I only recognized Wonderwall and
I know a lot of it.
what's
and
that
Don't
other
Look
one?
Back in Anger.
That one. That's the only 2
Champagne.
songs.
So sad,
Supernova.
or is that the same song?
Um,
Yeah, Don't Look Back in Anger. I heard. Yeah.
There's Stop Crying Your Heart Out. It's a very sad song if you can't tell. But I think they're highly overrated.
I just
and
don't think they're rated at this point. Maybe if you were to talk to me in like the year 2000 or the year 98, I'd say maybe they're overhyped right now because everybody wants to see Oasis. But come on, people,
I don't know. They're 2
20 years
brothers
later?
who treat each other like jerks.
well, they are
I don't-
jerks and they treat each other like jerks. And,
The dude
Yeah,
fell out of
I'm
like
not
a
a big fan of
helicopter or
people.
something like that too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
The way I put them, I'd say they're overrated. I wouldn't say they're.
I would say they're
So
very
you
overrated.
don't think they should have ever been famous at all?
I don't think they should be. They were known as like the next Beatles.
Yeah,
You can't touch
you're right.
the Beatles.
You're right. They kind of.
And they acted like it.
The only thing missing was, if they would have been decent people.
Like you got to be humble if you're gonna,
Yeah.
be compared to the Beatles because they were humble.
And I think the people that made them big, the record companies,
Yeah,
they knew what pricks they were, and they're just like, well, we'll make some money off 'em.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I'll take that. Okay, so they're 1 for 6. It even mentioned Paul McCartney. Good job with the Beatles reference. Number 7, Guns N' Roses.
Love Guns N' Roses. Play it a lot on the radio. It's like what Josh was saying with Don't Stop Believin'. If they didn't play it so much on the radio, I'd be playing it every day.
That's the
Like,
only thing.
I just say like 30 years ago, maybe. Nowadays,
They're fun. Like they're
it's not overplayed unless you,
Sweet Child of Mine's overplayed. I can't listen to that song anymore.
which is crazy because it wasn't even big like after you were born, and it's still overplayed. So I'll give you that.
Yeah, like I
don't
like
listen
Guns N'
to a lot of
Roses. I
them.
don't think they have enough stuff out to be called underrated.
They're definitely not underrated, but.
So we'll just leave that one as I just don't know. It doesn't match with me as them being overrated.
I think there is a lot of talent in that band. I think they deserve.
Yeah, like Slash alone is a reason for them.
Yeah,
to,
Slash, Duff,
Motley Crue number 8, Ryan. Motley Crue,
That hurts me.
overrated.
That hurts me. That
Again,
pains me.
how are they overrated? Like they're not rated anymore. They're just a rock band from 30 years ago that will go on tour.
Everyone loves Home Sweet Home and Girls, Girls, Girls and Shout at the Devil, except maybe Catholics or something. But I love Motley Crue, and I think like even my generation, they know Motley Crue so well. And it's not because they're overrated, it's because they were looked upon as this notorious group who played, this hair metal punk, just greasy, groovy stuff.
It says, sure, they had a few real bangers,
I
but
would
are
say
a couple
few.
of great songs enough to warrant the continued devotion that they still have in this day? Yeah.
Exactly, I believe that too.
I hope that if I ever come out with like 3 or 4 hits, that I can make a living off of it, because that's kind of the business, is you have a few hits and then
Look at Gangnam Style. No one's known what happened to that guy.
Yeah, there's so many
But Motley
bands.
Crue, they have so many. They have like even their stuff that came out, and they had the Dirt movie.
Yeah.
Those songs got played pretty well.
But
Like sure, it was when the movie got out.
how many bands, like Alanis Morissette, how many bands have one good album, and then they like Sugar Ray back in the day, and they can tour for 20 years off of that one album. That's kind of the goal. And these guys had more
Well,
than that.
people always want to see that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's great stuff behind Motley Crue. Like
Especially because of how crazy they were as people, they kind of got themselves.
that's why they're known as like the most notorious group of all time, and they
If
they
you're
have
that
stuff
crazy,
like
you're gonna get.
you're not gonna have
lot
a
of
bassist
publicity.
that died and came back to life again. Like they just have these stories that just make them.
Yeah,
so
they
much
lived
more
they
cool.
lived it. It wasn't like they were putting out fake stuff. No, they were just as bad as all the news articles. Like they lived down to the hype. Number 9 is the Rolling Stones.
Okay, that I think is stupid because
It does say, okay, before you run away screaming, hear us out.
Okay, let's hear it. I will give you.
But then it's just like, Keith Richards is a rock icon. But have you ever listened to an album? After a few songs, it starts to meld together, not to mention they've definitely outlasted their fame. That's about all it says. It just says, one of their guys is amazing, and their albums are okay.
I disagree with that.
Classic.
They have
Without the Rolling Stones, you know how many of the bands that we already listed, even off this, would not exist if it wasn't for the drummer, Charlie Watts on the drums. Like you saw the
He does something
Netflix
with the drums no one else has ever done in history.
Exactly. Like so many punk drummers looked up to him as an example. Like Keith Richards, like he's like known as like a guitar like legend, and he is. He's created stuff very simply, and then people look down on it as if it's so simple it's stupid. No, if it sounds good, it sounds good.
Do you
Their
think they
drummer does something with the drums that no one else ever does. Usually
and now
they
you're
do
going to do it?
Yes.
No one else has ever done it, and then you're going to do it.
Well, no one has done it
Until he did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So most people, they would hit hi-hat and snare at the same time, like a. He does a. He doesn't hit the hi-hat when he hits the snare because he likes the sound of just pure snare better.
Yeah, it's more crisp that way.
He likes it that way. No one else does.
But yeah,
that.
they have
one.
they have more
Epic
iconic
songs.
sounds than anything.
They came out with songs that, were just...
It did, like people look at
Poetry.
it if it's like simple stuff anyone could write. If you look at certain articles on it, like if they didn't write that stuff, then someone else would have. I don't think so.
I don't care if
That's
you
how
only
music
put
evolved.
one of their epic songs per album. That's a lot of albums because you got like with Painted Black and like which is just that is them, right?
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's epic song. And what's the symphony one? You can't
Sympathy
always
for the Devil.
Yeah, but you can't always get what you want. It kind of starts with the doesn't have a symphony.
Yeah. Are you talking about like the choir at the start?
Yeah.
That's you can't always
Like
get what
that's
you want.
so epic that it's just amazing. And then
If they didn't have that sound then, a lot of the stuff we wouldn't have today. They're one of the biggest inspirations in music in general.
Copress, get comfortable. He's even using the armrest.
That's awesome.
Attaboy.
So we're gonna Clearwater Revival rounds out the top 10.
I can
And
barely name anything by them, so I don't have an
I
opinion.
can't. I think the same thing I've been thinking as with most of the bands. If they didn't have that, like, try to think of like a Vietnam without Fortunate Son or something like that. That's iconic. That is a song that could play forever, and you'd be like, you know what? There's a point in time where that band was playing that song. It was like the coolest thing in the world because look at Vietnam. Look what happened there. Mm-hmm. If they didn't have that song playing so much in the Vietnam War and all that stuff, like it kind of defines a moment, if you know what I mean.
Yep, I love that song in particular, but I can't
That's
name
their-
anything else, so I can't have a good
I
opinion.
can't. I didn't really grow up on them, but I know that they're an epic
Born on the
band.
Bayou, on the Water Boy.
Oh, yeah. I'll recognize some stuff.
When he's riding the
but I don't know
lawnmower
much.
home.
The lawnmower.
Yeah.
Johnny Lawnmower, yeah. My nickname. But
Bobby
yeah,
Boucher.
I just think those songs are so cool, and I think that they can stick to an area like the South, like Born on the Bayou. That's like Louisiana type stuff. I think they're just a cool
John
American
Fogerty
band.
was.
So overall, are they overrated or not
No,
overrated?
I don't think they're overrated. I think
So this guy is
I think
just.
they're even a little bit
This
underrated.
person has something against rock music.
Clearly.
I think. So let's just see what else is on here quickly. So 11 is Fleetwood Mac. 12 is Deep Purple. I don't know either one of them much. Bruce Springsteen at number 13.
Oh, I know. One.
You don't know Deep Purple?
For what it's worth.
Is that
Smoke
the
on the
Smoke on the
Water.
Water? Yeah, like
That's all I know.
Yeah,
I'd say they're
but
overrated.
I don't know if they're overrated because of it.
They're one of them bands that we were talking about before when they kind of live off one song.
Which
Like, it's not a bad thing.
if you can, how are you overrated if you can make a career off of one? I
Such a
guess.
simple riff, you know.
Is Bruce Springsteen the guy that does For What It's Worth?
He's the guy that sings Born in the USA.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Both of them are some of the first.
He's an
people I learned how to
American
play the guitar,
icon
so I
for
get
sure,
mixed up.
Great performer.
but like, yeah,
Great band behind
he's
him.
an excellent performer.
I
Like,
don't listen to much of his stuff.
he
but
defines a time. Like, I think he's
Yeah.
defines
people that
the
go
80s
to his
more than Michael
concert
Jackson did.
say he's amazing. So
And apparently he still has that, you know, pizzazz. Like
he's
today.
the one that does that Christmas song that
Yeah,
gets
he does.
overplayed. Maybe that's why he's on the list for his Christmas song. You know the one I'm talking about?
If Paul McCartney's on there for doing Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas song, I
might
would
agree.
understand.
Yeah, but what's the Christmas song he does? Have you been good little boys and girls this year? You better watch out. He does like.
I don't know. I don't listen to Christmas music in Christmas time.
Well, I have a few like rock ones that I listen to, but it's one of them. But yeah, it's kind of overplayed. But we have Kiss at number 14.
Kiss is awesome.
They're great.
Hey,
Although, their look is what got them more famous. I want you to think about that. Remember in the 80s? Well, I can't say remember, but you
70s.
hear in like the 80s when they kind of went without it.
did they?
They did for a bit, and they tried to do like hair metal stuff.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, their stuff got to the charts no problem, like Lick It Up and stuff like that. Great, iconic sounding punk stuff. But their look, I think, is what makes the band. That's half the thing right there.
Yeah,
like, without
but-
their face paint and all that, like,
Paul Stanley played the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera. So the guy can sing.
they have talent for sure.
That's
I'm
what
just
I-
saying
so-
their look, I think, is what got them so big.
Maybe it got him over. Maybe it got them looked at. Maybe it's what got them kind of in the door. But and the whole keep it simple thing, I don't know. Like Lick It Up, such simple lyrics. You know, rock and roll.
Yeah, or I Was Made for Loving You and all that stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah, like stuff like that it's so simple yet
It's
so
so
genius,
simple
and
and-
it will stick with you the rest of your life.
exactly, and they're catchy. It's
Their music is freaking great. Mask on or off, whatever.
yeah.
They're
Again,
great.
I can't say they're.
I wouldn't put
Overrated.
I wouldn't put them on.
I don't know who
overrated.
would be. So Iron Maiden
I don't even really
and
understand Iron Maiden that much.
I have
Crosby,
one song
Stills,
by
and
them,
Nash.
Fear of the Dark.
I don't even listen to Crosby, Stills now.
9 Inch Nails.
I liked some of their songs.
A lot of them kind of dread on for too long.
Pearl Jam at number 18.
I love Pearl Jam.
I don't know how they can be overrated.
They're not.
I think they're just jealous because these bands are still able to go on tour. So they're like, oh,
they're selling out
they're
like
old bands, so they shouldn't be
baseball
on tour.
stadiums, dude. Like they're
Yeah,
great.
Foo Fighters at number 20.
Okay, now I really don't like this list.
It's slow loading.
Fighters
So
is a great
I think the Foo Fighters, well, the drummer Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace, he's gone, but I think that album kind of saved rock and roll. I genuinely do.
which album?
Which album? just any of their stuff after. Like I look at stuff like
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. Like they're even
like look at the one with All My Life on it, or The Shape and the Color.
All My Life cut
like the one with
into
Everlong
pieces.
on it.
This is my last resort. That one? I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like
You're
the
gonna
monkey
hate
wrench and all that.
Yeah,
that's their
Monkey
original
Wrench,
stuff.
and even their stuff like Medicine at Midnight and their movie too. I think their movie that
Oh, that
cheered
was
me
funny.
up. That was a great movie.
That was a funny movie. They came out with a horror movie called Studio
it's a
666.
comedy too at the same time.
Yeah, it's really funny.
I think they're very
Yeah,
creative.
it was pretty good.
Bon Jovi's on here.
I know you don't think too highly of that.
Well, I guess maybe I just don't have an understanding of what they mean by overrated. Yeah, they had one song that plays everywhere, no matter what. But
They
my
got a
kids
couple.
also sing along. The song that was out 20 years before they were born, and they sing along to it when they're in a stadium or something because they know all the words. So, yeah, there's some people that are annoyed because it's overplayed, but I don't even think their songs are overplayed. I just think that people hear them and they recognize them. And
Well, there's two different kinds of overrated. There's the bands who deserve to get as big as they did, and bands that didn't. I think this, like,
Well, that's what the whole point of Overrated is, Josh.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of
So
these
they don't
they
deserve
deserve
the praise.
here's Ryan's
They deserve
Nirvana
it,
at
don't
number
count.
24.
I'm gonna break that iPhone of yours.
Yeah, and so let's see what are we waiting for on Josh? Joe Davidson is overrated, guys. Joey Davidson.
See, that is how overrated they are. Is that you don't even know if it's Joe or Joy.
Joy
Rolling
Division.
Stone ranked their 1979
Divisions?
album 34.
Division?
Yeah, Joy. I don't even. That says a lot right there.
Yeah, I can't even.
Yeah.
I think Nirvana's logo is overrated.
Okay, I think we have one. No, I can't even.
Rush?
Rush.
I
How-
love Rush.
The U.S. doesn't even listen to
Yes,
Rush,
they do. Even Family Guy makes jokes of them.
do they?
Yes. Have you ever watched that one time where they go back to in the book like the Tom Sawyer
Okay.
and
Oh boy.
like the book Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole cameo where he goes like, "Yeah, Rush made a song about me, and they're gonna come over here tonight." But just to prove a point, like if you're putting it on American cartoons, which are some of the most watched
20
things
years
ever,
after the song was out, and people are
oh yeah,
recognizing it, then I don't know.
I love Rush. They're my favorite Canadian group.
I'm waiting to see
Prog rock
Chester
group too.
Bennington or
Oh, Linkin Park.
Linkin Park. There's U2 on here.
You two, I
So
I
what
think
point it
should be on
is?
there.
I'd love to see who's not on here.
I think U2 is the most deserving overrated one I've seen.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just because like
they never matched their first album.
and
I think they're just so boring and bland.
yeah.
I like the
Some.
Mysterious Ways song. She moves in mysterious
Like, yeah, they got
ways.
that
some
one.
great songs. Like I like Sunday, Bloody Sunday, and stuff like that. It's just their biggest hits. I'm one of
Dave
them kind of
Matthews
guys that
Band.
doesn't like their biggest hits because
Oh,
I hear
I
it
see.
so much.
Janis Joplin. I guess I understand.
Maroon 5. Here
Okay, we
go.
got Josh back on board.
Here we
Right.
go.
All right.
Yeah,
But
they deserve it.
That is even farther up than what's it called?
U2.
U2.
So
I
who's number one? You two, these guys, or Don't Look Back in Anger?
Maroon 5.
Maroon
that was
5.
Oasis.
Maroon 5, then Oasis, and then Metallica. Metallica's next year.
Yeah, they're overrated.
They are overrated.
You think they're overrated?
Yep.
Is it overrated because of the album where they're like, we're not going to do any guitar solos,
Yes.
and then you're like, okay, you guys are out now? Because you
Yeah,
again,
but I
changed
was
your
out
ways.
at Load and Reload when they did like people say, you know, if you were to take the best songs off both those albums, that's the one after the Black album. The last two albums after that they did. And I just think none of that songs like after the Black album are relevant at all. Like yeah, they're thrash metal days in the 80s. That stuff was just so like for metal, it got really out there. It got like people started to really recognize metal more than anything. And then after that, it's like they knew like the amount of fame they have, and so I feel like they half-assed albums.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I think.
But they got away from what they did well, which is kind of alluding to. So we'll stop it there. So that's number 33. I'm sure I skipped some, but I think we can put this. I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it was so funny.
Oh, it was funny, but
It
another
humored
thing
me.
is that I found a website who has the exact same list. We just gotta find out who's copying who.
That's a good. Yeah, that's.
Direct Expose is the one that wrote the one I'm looking at, and they have the exact same list. Nothing
Really?
different.
Well, that would be even worse if these guys. I wish it doesn't have a date on it. So one of them is obviously, or maybe they're like a sister site or something. But this is history101.com.
This one was published 2 years ago on October 18th, 2020.
Oh, Living 101.
By Ethan Reynolds.
Because this says article originally published on Living 101. Is that where you said yours was?
Mine's on Direct Expose.
Okay.
So
Living 101, Patrick Kindwell. Is that who yours was?
Ethan Reynolds.
Jeez. So there's a third website. Now, does this one say it was previously posted? No, and does it
A
have
lot of people really feed it off. Whoever made.
Yeah, it doesn't have a date either. So yeah, it was just silly. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, that was it for this episode. See everyone later.
Bye.
See ya.